Racism is not a thing of the past, it's a reality many Indians still face in 2025. From students and professionals to migrant workers and entire families, Indians across the globe continue to encounter discrimination, stereotypes, and prejudice. Whether it's subtle exclusion, online hate, or open hostility, these experiences affect millions of lives. Today, we'll uncover the top 15 countries where Indians face racism in 2025, exposing the harsh truth about the challenges our community endures abroad. Stay with us till the end, because some countries on this list may truly shock you. 15. New Zealand. New Zealand generally has a reputation for tolerance, but Indian immigrants have still reported racism in housing, jobs, and daily life. Many Indians face stereotypes as cheap labor or outsiders despite being skilled professionals. Students sometimes encounter racial slurs in public places, particularly in smaller towns. However, the government has strong anti-discrimination laws, and universities promote diversity. Despite this, systemic barriers remain for Indian migrants seeking permanent residency. The situation is better compared to some Western countries, but subtle racism and exclusionary attitudes still make integration challenging for many members of the Indian community. 14. Singapore. Singapore is home to a large Indian origin population, but racism still exists beneath the surface. Many Indians face discrimination in employment, housing, and public interactions. There have been cases of landlords openly refusing Indian tenants and employers favoring other ethnic groups. While the government promotes multiculturalism, some locals stereotype Indians as rowdy or unhygienic. Social media has also amplified racist remarks against Indian migrant workers. However, Indians hold important roles in business, politics, and education, which balances perceptions. Singapore's official stance is zero tolerance toward racism, yet casual discrimination continues to affect many Indians' daily lives in subtle ways. 13. United Arab Emirates, UAE. The UAE has millions of Indian expatriates, making them one of the country's largest communities. While many enjoy opportunities, especially in business and professional fields, racism is common against low-income Indian migrant workers. Domestic workers, construction laborers, and cleaners often face poor living conditions, withheld wages, and discriminatory treatment. There is also a cultural hierarchy where Indians are sometimes looked down upon compared to Western expatriates. Despite this, Indians have a major influence on UAE's economy and society. The government has tightened labor rights, but deep-rooted prejudice and class-based racism against Indians persist in daily interactions. 12. South Africa. Indians in South Africa form a historic community, dating back over a century. While many have prospered in business and politics, racism continues in subtle and overt ways. Indians often face resentment from both black and white communities, being stereotyped as exploiters or outsiders. Political leaders sometimes fuel anti-Indian rhetoric, leading to tensions. Violent incidents, including looting of Indian-owned businesses during unrest, highlight the risks. Despite this, Indians have shaped South Africa's culture, cuisine, and economy. Although legal protections exist, everyday racism and political scapegoating make it difficult for Indians to feel completely secure in the country. 11. Germany. Germany has seen an increasing number of Indian students and IT professionals, especially in Berlin and Munich. However, racism remains an issue, particularly in smaller towns where Indians may face verbal abuse, housing discrimination, or social exclusion. Reports of Indians being attacked or harassed for their skin color have surfaced. Far-right groups also spread anti-immigrant sentiment, targeting Indians along with other minorities. Despite this, Germany values skilled migrants and has introduced pathways for Indian professionals. While opportunities are strong, the social environment can sometimes be unwelcoming, making it hard for Indians to fully integrate into German society. 10. France. France is admired for its culture, but Indian migrants often face discrimination. Indians, particularly students and workers, sometimes encounter racism in housing, employment, and even schools. Skin color-based prejudice is common, with Indians being stereotyped as second-class immigrants. Some report being denied apartments or jobs due to their ethnicity. In recent years, anti-immigration politics have fueled more hostility. Despite these issues, Indians continue to thrive in academic and entrepreneurial fields. The French government officially condemns racism, yet social attitudes remain a barrier. Indians often feel they must work harder than others to be fully accepted in French society. 9. Italy. Italy has become a growing destination for Indian workers, especially in agriculture and small industries. Unfortunately, many face harsh working conditions, underpayment, and racism from locals. Reports of Indians being exploited in farms and treated as outsiders are common. Students and professionals also experience discrimination in urban areas, particularly in job applications and housing. Far-right groups often target immigrants, and Indians fall into that category. Despite this, Indian communities are growing stronger, with temples, cultural events, and small businesses flourishing. The Italian government is making efforts to curb exploitation, but racism against Indians is still a daily challenge. 8. Ireland. Ireland has become popular with Indian students and tech workers, but rising racist incidents have created fear among the community. Reports of physical assaults, verbal abuse, and workplace discrimination against Indians are increasing. Social media also amplifies anti-immigrant narratives, often singling out Indians. Attacks on Indian students at bus stops and neighborhoods have been widely covered in local media. While Ireland officially condemns racism and values diversity, enforcement of protections can be weak. The Indian diaspora has asked for stronger safety measures. Despite opportunities in tech and healthcare, Indians often feel socially isolated and targeted by casual racism. 7. United Kingdom. The UK has one of the largest Indian diasporas, with deep historical ties. However, racism continues to affect Indians in various forms. Hate crimes, particularly against Sikhs and Muslims of Indian origin, remain a concern. Incidents include verbal abuse, assaults, and discrimination in housing or jobs. Online hate campaigns targeting Indians have also grown. While Indians hold significant positions in politics, business, and medicine, the community still faces stereotypes. Far-right groups often use anti-immigrant rhetoric, sometimes directly mentioning Indians. Despite progress in representation, many Indians still feel the UK is struggling with deep-rooted racial prejudices. 6. Canada. Canada has long been a top destination for Indian migrants, but racism has sharply risen in recent years. Reports show a surge in racial slurs against Indians online, with terms like dirty or unskilled spreading rapidly. Many Indian students complain of discrimination in housing, jobs, and social interactions. Hate crimes, though less common than in the US, are still significant. Some Canadians view the rising Indian population as a threat, fueling hostility. Despite this, Canada offers strong opportunities and legal protections. The contradiction between multicultural policies and lived racism makes it one of the most complex cases for Indians. 5. United States. The U.S. has the second largest Indian diaspora, but racism remains a persistent problem. Indians face discrimination in schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods. Hate crimes against Sikhs and Hindus have been documented, along with online campaigns portraying Indians as job stealers. Political rhetoric around immigration often fuels anti-Indian sentiment. Some Indian students report bullying, while professionals face barriers in leadership roles due to racial bias. Despite this, Indian Americans have achieved remarkable success, influencing tech, politics, and healthcare. The contradiction lies in Indians being celebrated as a model minority, while still being targeted by systemic racism and hate groups. 4. Australia. Australia has a large and growing Indian community, but racism is a recurring issue. Indians have reported being called racial slurs, harassed in public, and discriminated against in housing. Anti-immigration protests have specifically targeted Indians, with flyers and slogans portraying them as unwanted. Cricket matches have seen chants of "Go Back" aimed at Indian players and fans. While urban centers are more welcoming, rural areas often show hostility toward Indians. Despite this, Indians are excelling in business, education, and healthcare across Australia. The government pushes multiculturalism, but the rise of far-right groups continues to make Indians vulnerable to racism. 3. Georgia. Georgia, in Eastern Europe, has recently become popular with Indian students pursuing medicine. However, they often face xenophobia and racism. Many Indians complain of being harassed in public, treated poorly by locals, and mocked for their accents or appearance. There are cases where landlords refuse Indian tenants, and students feel isolated in universities. Some media outlets portray Indians negatively, fueling prejudice. While Georgia is a growing education hub, the lack of diversity awareness makes it hard for Indians to feel accepted. Despite the opportunities, many Indian students report loneliness and racism as major struggles during their stay. 2. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia hosts millions of Indian migrant workers, making them an essential part of its labor force. While many Indians find good opportunities in construction, domestic work, and healthcare, racism and discrimination are widespread. Low-income Indian workers often face poor living conditions, withheld salaries, and limited rights compared to Western expatriates. Social attitudes sometimes view Indians as second-class laborers, creating barriers in daily life. Despite these issues, Saudi Arabia continues to depend heavily on Indian labor, and many Indians achieve financial stability there. The contrast between economic reliance and social prejudice makes Saudi Arabia a complex case for Indians. 1. Qatar. Qatar has a large Indian community, especially in construction, domestic work, and services. While the country has introduced reforms to improve labor conditions, Indians often face racism in the workplace and social life. Many low-income migrants report being treated unfairly, paid less, or discriminated against compared to other expatriates. Cultural stereotypes also affect how Indians are perceived, with some being looked down upon despite their significant contributions to Qatar's economy. Though Indians are essential in building infrastructure and running businesses, everyday racism and labor exploitation remain persistent problems, making Qatar one of the toughest places for Indians in 2025.